card, but when the various Abzan strategies are moving to things like Utter End or Reclamation Sage, it's risky to tap out for that sort of effect. Crux of Fate gives you a very clean way to sweep up the board. And like we mentioned before, a lot of these mid-range decks only have so much meat on the bones. There's only so many cards you really have to care about. And so if you're able to sweep up the board, dissolve or negate a couple Planeswalkers, they just don't have a lot left over to beat you with.
When you sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire here very quickly, get a mountain out of his deck. Well, Majlaton just does start with a Swamp. Game number 2 between these players.
But I think this is a very problematic matchup for Mardu mid-range. Richard just has a lot of spot removal in the deck.
Yeah. And those are cards that blue-black control generally does not care about. Nguyen does have Battlefield Forge as well as another Bloodstained Mire, so it does have things to do. Looks like he's going to take a point of damage here. And it is time for, as you mentioned, the debut of Soulfire Grandmaster.
Perhaps the most heralded, splashiest card in the set. People have high hopes for this thing.
Unchecked, it can do some pretty busted things.
And its floor is really high, too. I mean, even when it's bad, it's something your opponent has to kill.
There's the 2/2 lifelinker, as Nguyen will sacrifice his Bloodstained Mire. You have to imagine a Swamp is on the way, but we will see momentarily as he goes down to 17. There is the Swamp. We'll see if there will be a play this turn. Majlaton at this point just with Swamps on the battlefield, so no counter spells to worry about.
Could very easily be Buy Up Blight as well.
Yep.
And Majlaton definitely is concerned with Goblin Rabble Master, which is a very problematic threat for blue-black control if it's not immediately killed.
3 mana being tapped here by Nguyen, and it will be a Rabble Master, so immediately going to put Majlaton to the test. And I don't think we're going to get there just yet, so there is the Buy Up Blight to take that off the table. Here comes the Grandmaster. Majlaton's going to pass the first test, but he'll go down to 18 in the process. We're going to gain a little bit of life on the exchange as well. Majlaton will draw, play an island, and simply pass the turn back. Back Nguyen's way. Nguyen will draw. See a Temple of Triumph in the hand. Picked up a copy of Nomad Outpost for the draw step. And into the red zone he's going to come. So Nguyen's going to push his life total up to 21, Majlaton to go down to 16. But if you could draw up a way that the game can go, as long as you pass the Rabble Master test kind of early, you're okay with these exchanges if you're blue-black control.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Alex is just trying to make sure nothing too bad for him slips through the cracks. Play a conservative game. You know, he can take a couple hits here. He doesn't want to go down too low because the Mardu deck does have some burn spells and it does have some reach, but it's early, but things look like they're shaping up well thus far for Alex.
Alex does have a copy of Buy Up Blight in his hand at this point. I think he's just deciding if he cares that much about the Soulfire Grandmaster, and he does care enough that he's going to kill this on Nguyen's end step, or at least try to.
And if he's leaving up mana here, it's probably representing other tricks in hand. Maybe he just wanted to protect himself from Rabble Master. Maybe he has a counterspell like Negate or Disdainful Stroke.
Majlaton very quickly going to play Polluted Delta and pass the turn back. This is a copy of Hushwing Gryff on Majlaton's end step. And we'll see if maybe there's a counterspell waiting in the wings here or not.
And this shows some of the problems that Richard has in the matchup. Hushwing Gryff is, I believe, being boarded in here simply because Richard has too many bad cards in this deck and he just needs to get something that can attack in his deck.
Yeah. Or threats.
Yep. I mean, he's got Murderous Cut, Utter End, 4 Lightning Strikes, 3 Chain to the Rocks. These Mardu decks prey on small creature decks with all this removal, but the matchup does suffer quite a bit against pure control decks like blue-black.
You can tell that his deck is influenced by what Siege Rhino's done to the format, Course of Crew Fix and those sort of things, where Mardu midrange does have a pretty good matchup and a pretty good game against those kind of strategies. That's why he has so much removal to be able to kill Planeswalkers and all the things that the Abzan decks bring to the table, but you're playing against blue-black control, don't really care about very many of those cards.
No, not at all.
Radiant Fountain's going to come into play and do some of the work there that the old Hushwing Gryff has done as Majlaton settles in at 16 life, working our way pretty deep into the mid-game here.
And that's why blue-black control is my favorite Thoughtseize deck of the format, if that's the type of card you want to play, because there's so many cards in your opponent's deck that are already dead. There's so few cards in their average hand you have to worry about. It really amplifies the fact that they're sitting on so much removal that's a challenge to do anything with.
Majlaton going to sacrifice his Polluted Delta, go grab an island. And perhaps it's time to dig through time. Of course, 3 cards in the graveyard, 2 Bob Lights and that Delta. 5 lands in play. That adds up to the wonderful 8 that you need for the powerful sorcery instant that we're going to be seeing a lot of across multiple formats now with Treasure Cruise gone.
Well, not Modern.
That's true. That's true. If you cast it there, that's bad news.
But I do expect an uptick of this card in Legacy now.
Yeah. Going to take a look at the top 7 and take 2 with them. Dissolve among the cards here that Alex is looking at. He has found the 2 that he is happy with. Other 5 will go downstairs here in just a moment. So we will head back his way. Take a draw step.
I think Alex may have just taken 2 lands off of that dig through time.
Sometimes that's what you need.
Yeah. Not critiquing, just interesting. Means he, of course, has a very loaded hand if that's the case.
Temple of Deceit going to come in. Top card becomes the bottom one. When you're going to sacrifice Bloodstained Mire. He will search up a mountain. We'll see what his draw step will yield here. As his hand right now, not all that impressive, does have a copy of Crackling Doom in hand, along with a land, I believe, but Crackling Doom in this matchup, rather poor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a card that, you know, can do some work a little bit against Pearl Lake. If Alex randomly has other creatures that can help there, you can go to the Dome. It's still bad, but it's at least got enough moments of being good that it's worth keeping in, especially in contrast with the other removal spells in Richard's deck that really don't do anything.
Here's a copy of Goblin Rabblemaster. And the Dissolve will take care of that. A little scry action here from Majlaton. Top card looks like it's going to stay on top. Now when it comes to Hushwing Griff to bring Alex down to 11. But again, could not be happier with where he's at right now. A Hushwing Griff in play and just a couple cards in the opponent's hand. Nothing too crazy going on over there. There's a Lightning Strike over there as well. Here's a Dismal Backwater to gain a little bit of life.
And, you know, you can kind of get the sense that Richard's not quite aggressive enough. His deck doesn't allow him to be aggressive enough to leverage the burn spells that are left in his hand. And it's sort of shaping up to be one of those games where he gets Alex to the single digits, but can't finish the game off.
Yeah. Bob Blake going to go after Hushwing Griff. Here's a Temple of Silence, so this will help Nguyen hopefully draw a good card next turn. He leaves his top card on top very quickly and just passes the turn back. The Majlaton will draw. Looks like he may have picked up a copy of Thoughtseize for the turn.
I'm interested to see if Alex even wants to cast Thoughtseize here, because what could possibly be in your opponent's hand at this stage? It's probably burn spells or creature removal. If it's burn spells, you don't really want to Thoughtseize. And if it's creature removal, you don't really care to take it with Thoughtseize.
Flooded Strand going to come into play. Majlaton will sacrifice that. He's going to go down to 11. Now, one card that he does have in his sideboard is a copy of Sigor. A card that I have a feeling we're going to see quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of hype around that card.
I think it's one of the best cards. It may be the best card in the set for Standard.
Yeah. And it's going to join the party right now. So its debut on the Open Series. You see Nguyen's going to take a look. We're going to do the same. The Golden Fang. Does seem rather powerful. I agree with you.
As I've mentioned before, I feel like Black and 5 colorless 4/5 Delve is already on the borderline of being a standard playable card. And if your opponent can't kill it, the activated power will easily take the game over.
Going to activate that activate ability. Put the top 2 cards of your library in your graveyard, then return a non-land card of an opponent's choice from your graveyard to your hand. So take a look at the top 2. Well, Alex gets the option here between Thoughtseize and Disdainful Stroke. By Alex, of course, I mean Richard gets to pick one, but Alex is looking at one of those cards. He is gifted a Thoughtseize, but his creature is taken care of.
So Richard got a good crackling doom off, which is a small victory.
Yeah, for sure.
But Alex still at a relatively high life total.
Remember, Nguyen did keep his card on top. We'll tap 3 mana. Let's make it 4. This is a copy of Butcher of the Horde. But a Disdainful Stroke will take care of that. And just has to pass the turn back over to Majlaton. Majlaton will draw. And now here is Thoughtseize. Nguyen going to respond with a Lightning Strike here, you have to imagine. So there is that. Majlaton going to go down to 6. After Thoughtseize resolves, he's going to go down to 4. So his life total is getting a little bit lower than I think he's probably comfortable with.
This is not bad news for Richard. I mean, it's rough. It's going to be tough for him to beat, let's say, another counterspell this game, most likely, because he doesn't have a lot of burn in his deck. But the game is getting to be a bit closer than we anticipated a few turns ago.
See, the only card there in Nguyen's hand is a copy of Battlefield Forge, so Thoughtseize is done resolving. There's a Dismal Backwater, a little bit of life gain. We'll bring Majlaton up to 5. And now there's the big dragon. And perhaps this will be what closes out the game. Let's go with Salumgar. How's that sound?
Salumgar?
Salumgar.
Yeah, sure.
Just want to call it the Elspeth Killer. Crackling Doom off the top.
The perfect rip.
Yes. He is fighting as Majlaton is down to 3. Win conditions left, a Perlic Ancient and Ashiok. There's a Swamp, pass the turn back. Timely top decks here for Nguyen. There's a Goblin Rabble Master.
And you see the last card in Alex's hand there, a Thoughtseize.
Yep. So now Rabble Master's in and a Goblin's going to accompany it into the red zone. Now all of a sudden, a game that was looking very heavily in Majlaton's favor is he's going to give this card a healthy sweat.
Just slow roll himself a little bit.
He always does, and he is beat. So all of a sudden, we are heading to game number 3 here between Richard Nguyen and Alex Majlaton. Mardu mid-range and Blue-Black Control are evened up.
Very impressive. I said multiple times that game, it looked like Richard was going to fall a little bit short here, but able to battle all the way back. Alex with some poor draws there in the mid-game. A bunch of Thoughtseizes that didn't do anything, and Richard was able to just barely get the job done.
We'll take a look at the sideboards here again very quickly on Majlaton's side. He does have that copy of Tasigur, the Golden Fang, that 4th copy of Crux of Fate in the sideboard, 2 Thoughtseizes, 3 Drowning Sorrows, 3 copies of Jurubai Muck Dribbler, a Prognostic Sphinx, 2 Grind Clocks, and 2 Negates. So some pretty good options. We saw some of them, like Tasigur the last game.
Yeah, I think Tasigur is fine to bring in this matchup, though. I don't know if he wants to. The problem is he's spending a lot of equity bringing in these creatures. You've seen that Richard has kept in Crackling Doom, and that's not really a card that Alex wants to have to fight over. So it wouldn't surprise me if he got away from those creatures even further. I know it's not a lot, but the Crackling Dooms that Richard had that game typically are pretty bad against Blue-Black, but Alex brought in just some big targets, and Crackling Doom was exceptional for Richard there.
On Nguyen's side, don't think a lot's going to change.
Well, 3 Anger of the Gods and End Hostility, 2 Erase, 2 Glare of Heresy, 3 Hushwing Grip, 3 Thoughtseize and Utter End. The Hushwing Grips we saw. I think the Thoughtseizes are likely to come in as well, and possibly the Utter End. But light sideboarding.
Yeah. Well, game number 3 going to be underway here. Clock is accurate for those of you watching at home. So when this one does start, we'll have about 8 minutes to play. And this is certainly not a fast matchup, especially here on the Blue-Black Control side. So we could be working ourselves into draw territory, perhaps, which is not where these players want to be early on in the tournament. If someone can win this game pretty quickly, chances are it's probably Richard Nguyen.
Yeah, Alex does not want to be in the draw bracket for time concerns, and I think Richard wants to avoid it because his deck is typically not going to be good against things that appear in the draw bracket.
Seven cards here for both players. See if they can find opening hands that they like. And then we'll be underway here for game number 3. And Nguyen is going to send it back very quickly. So did not find something he liked.
Yeah, not enough mana in that hand. A lot of 4s and 5s.
Probably needs Goblin Rabblemaster to show up here to be able to steal the game pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's the best card in the matchup. Alex has a lot of answers to it, but there's going to be a percentage of the time where he just can't handle it and will die as a result. His 4 and 5 mana plays just aren't very good. I think when he's on the draw because of Dissolve and Disdainful Stroke, it's just hard to get them to resolve. Rabblemaster is his big cheat.
6 cards here for Nguyen. He's happy enough. Majlaton very quickly going to sacrifice Evolving Wilds and speed things along. He'll get a Swamp out of his deck. See, Nguyen does have a copy of Goblin Rabblemaster. He'll just start things off with the Nomad Outpost, however. And you see some of the deck building constraints that Dig Through Time does cause. A card like Evolving Wilds, something that these mono red decks, perhaps the red-white heroic decks that are in the room, are able to take advantage of.
Well, blue-black control is also, in a weird way, very color mana sensitive. Because you have double black for Bioblight on 2 and double blue for Dissolve on 3. So even though Evolving Wilds isn't the prettiest, it's just another mana fixer in a deck that, even though it's 2 colors, has pretty specific needs.
You see Nguyen's going to take a look at the old Murklurker. That one is a way for Majlaton to quickly steal the game, or at least try to.
Also gives him some good insurance against Goblin Rabblemaster as well.
Of course, if you control Swamp, it gets +1/+1. So that thing's a 2/4 right now. You pay a colorless and a black mana. Target creature gains lifelink, not itself, though it can target itself.
And another argument for Evolving Wilds, because you don't want to just have a dual land in play necessarily. You want to have a basic Swamp.
This is true.
To enable whatever that is, a Leech, I guess?
Yeah, creature type Leech is lurking in the murk, as it were. Not entirely sure where Jurubai is, but
I assume it's a location.
Thank you. I'm just saying I'm not sure where it is.
Where it is.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a feeling what it is. It's probably a nice city or swamp.
Yeah.
Perhaps we're going to the skies. We are. Flamewake Phoenix making its debut.
So this is a pretty cool card. I think it's got some potential mono red beatdown. Also synergizes very nicely with Butcher of the Horde.
Do like that.
Sack that thing, just get it right back.
Oh
my goodness.
Yeah, the value.
Yeah,
It's overwhelming. The Murklurker going to hang out here on defense still, as Majlaton did play a copy of Radiant Fountain underneath 5 minutes here.
I asked Drew Levin about this card in his mono red deck as he's not playing it. He sort of made it sound like it was the last card out.
Sure. The ability to bring it back in the mono red deck that Drew's playing seems rather unlikely.
I don't know. He's got Dragon's Mantle. He's got Fire Drinker Satyr. He's got Titan Strength. I don't know. I think it's realistic.
It's not impossible,
Yeah.
but with the consistency that he might be looking for, not going to happen that much.
Foundry Street Denizen, that in certain scenarios, I guess, might be able to happen. I don't know. It's ambitious.
Yeah, for sure. See what Nguyen can put together here on his 4th turn of the game. Looks like he's going to start with an attack with the Phoenix. Majlaton's going to go down to 18. The follow-up here. It's a post-combat Rabblemaster. Not much of a reason to play it pre-combat, as the Goblin will just run into the Murklurker. Here's a Hero's Downfall to take care of that Rabblemaster.
It doesn't want to give Alex the option to block and give his Murklurker a lifelink if he has nothing else to do with his mana.
He's going to go lurking. In for 2 points of damage. And just simply pass the turn back over to Nguyen. Nguyen will quickly untap and take a draw here. Mountain is what he's picked up. Does have a Battlefield Forge in hand as well. See Lightning Strike and 2 Butcher of the Hordes to finish things out. There is the Mountain. Here is a Butcher. You talked about that combination with Flamewake Phoenix, but Majlaton's going to put a stop to that. Disdainful Stroke. The Phoenix will come in here for 2 more points of damage.
Oh, and sacking the Phoenix there if the Butcher resolve would be maximum greed too, because then a removal spell and you have nothing.
This is true. This is true. It could be certainly bad news. Here's the attack. Pass that turn back. Nguyen will draw. Copy of Soulfire Grandmaster. There's a land. Will he go with the Butcher of the Horde play again? Looks like he will not. Just an attack here for 2. Majlaton down to 14. There is the Grandmaster.
I think it's fine to post-combat all of this stuff because there's no way that you're going to sack anything to the Butcher of the Horde even if it resolves.
It's time for dig-through time, or at least an attempt. Alex wondering if this is going to die to maybe a card like Crackling Doom. You see Nguyen's hand, Lightning Strike and Butcher, so the answer is no. Majlaton will take a look at the top 7 and take 2 with them.
Although, interestingly enough, if this was Alex's response to a Grandmaster, it's possible if Richard plays it pre-combat that he might be able to get his Butcher to now resolve.
Sure.
Not that Richard knows this, but just odd how this kind of played out.
You might see a Lightning Strike here, which I don't think is wise.
I don't think Lightning Strike accomplishes.
Yeah, if he's going to go after that, that's fine. It's going to gain a little bit of life, but we'll see where that Lightning Strike is targeting. I imagine it's going upstairs. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was not super clear based on how it was pointing, but
For sure.
a random Lightning Strike at the Merklorker there did not make a ton of sense.
No, 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 no. Here's the attack. You saw Nguyen gain life, of course, with the Lightning Strike thanks to the Soulfire Grandmaster. That Lightning Strike has lifelink, so Nguyen went up to 15. Majlaton down to 11. Nguyen will draw. Looks like we might head into the red zone here with both creatures, and we are. Majlaton does have a removal spell here for the Soulfire Grandmaster in Bile Blight. So that'll clear that out of the way. Temple of Silence will come down here for Nguyen. I'll take a look at the top card.
But now we're sort of reaching the stage here where Alex can probably protect himself with some mana and start lifelinking the Merklorker and really get the damage race shifted around.
The big problem here, however, is the clock. And I don't know if either player's going to be able to finish this game.
Seems unlikely.
As this is turn 0 now. So Majlaton will have turns 1, 3, and 5. Nguyen will have turns 2 and 4. But can either one of them finish is the question. Majlaton will draw. Pearling Ancient is what he's found. Here comes old Murky.
Doing work.
As only it can. Majlaton will just have to pass the turn back. No 7th land. Turn 2. Nguyen will draw. He'll come in here for 2 points of damage. Majlaton going to sacrifice that land very quickly. Go down to 6.
Yeah, I believe this allows him to dig through time. Like, only 3 cards in the graveyard, so he can't leave up Negate.
Yeah, dig at this point will cost 5, so as you mentioned, we'll not be able to leave up Negate. A minor issue there to be sure.
Well, I mean, it means this is a risky play.
For sure. He could just die. And he'll take the risk. It's time to dig.
Yeah, this is especially risky because I don't think Alex has any hope of winning in time.
Sure. Take a look at the top 7. Take 2 along with him. If the game went more turns, I think he could get the job done.
Yeah, I think he's a favorite if the game were to play out to its natural conclusion, but this seems to me to be a pretty big risk without a lot of upside.
Well, things worked out for him as we head into turn number 3 here of extra turns. There is an island. And even though Merklurker's lifelink has not been activated this game, you can see how powerful that ability can be in a situation like this, where it's basically blanking the Phoenix if you were to go long.
Yeah. The only real opportunity cost that that card represents is making your opponent's Crackling Dooms a lot better. But it appears that Alex is sideboarded in such a way that Crackling Doom is going to be pretty good against him regardless.
Yeah.
So if a Merklurker draws out a Crackling Doom, Alex might actually be happy in a lot of circumstances.
The attack brings Nguyen a little bit lower as it's turn number 4 of extra turns. This will be Richard's last one. He'll play a Battlefield Forge. He'll have to take one last swing here. And he does have a Butcher of the Horde to cast. So this is kind of the Hail Mary attempt. There is the Butcher. Majlaton will give that some thought. A lot of cards in his hand. Trying to figure out if there's a way I can lose this game, because the big question is what's the last card in his hand?
Yeah. Well, you can be pretty sure it's not Lightning Strike. Probably not Stoke the Flame either.
Is there some sort of winning combination that allows Nguyen to deal 6? That's what he has to be wary of. Now here's a Dissolve. I'll take care of that. A little scry action here. Top card can become the bottom card. Dissolve is done resolving. Now here's just looks like maybe a boring old attack for 2. Though Nguyen is reaching for some mana. But there is the Flamewave Phoenix coming into the red zone. That's not going to go down to 4. And hope that he's not dead. He's not, it seems. Turn number 5, Majlaton will draw. He'll play Dismal Backwater and push himself up to 5. It just doesn't look like either player had enough time to get the job done. I do think, as you mentioned, if the game does have some more turns here, the combination of cards that Alex does have available, Pearl-like Ancient and negate a downfall over there and the Merklurker in play, I think he probably wins it, but I just don't think it's going to come out to be the case here. So players may have a little conversation, and when we do have a result for you guys, we'll let you know. But at this point, it does look to be a draw here between Alex Majlaton and Richard Nguyen.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, something where I think if you have the thing going out to its natural conclusion, Alex seems like a very big favorite.
Yeah, and we've just been informed there by our table spotter that Richard Nguyen actually did concede the game, as he knew that if enough time would have been allotted, that he would not win. So Alex Majlaton's going to win this match. It looks like 2-1, and he'll move on to 2-0 with his blue-eye control deck.
And I think, there might be some benevolence there on Richard's side of the table, but I think he's really well served not getting in the draw bracket.
I agree.
Because Mardu mid-range typically not very good against pure control decks. I don't think he wants to play against a lot of Dissolve matchups or slower mid-range matchups like Abzan Whip, for example, or Sultai Reanimator strategies. I think Mardu is typically behind those overall. So I think for the sake of his long-term performance in the tournament, Richard may be better served here taking a loss than taking a draw.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I don't think he wants to play against blue-eye control or blue-white control.